We're not doing it live.
Yeah, that was funny last week.
We legit did not know that this was live broadcast until like hours. The next morning you go, hey, you uploaded that video twice. And I was like, ah, shit.
Well, I kept getting notifications that people were commenting, and I'm like, but this is the old video. Why are people commenting?
I'm thinking about getting rid of Riverside and going.
Do tell Riverside if you're watching this, and we know
Riverside.fm. They're not.
Either
listening.
Sponsor us and fix your program, or
fix your shitty program, or figure it out. But yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about doing like Zoom Pro or StreamYard, and Riverside has just given us so many issues over the years, and I like them when they work.
I don't know if it's so much StreamYard as our producers.
No. Do you remember a few different times uploading it and the audio wasn't there, or it didn't upload and we lost it?
Wasn't that almost always though, because like the cords were touching or someone didn't press the whatever?
No,
that's the producers.
No, those are
honestly, you've got the best batting percentage of anybody so far.
No, we've had a lot of like producer screw ups, but then we've also had Riverside screw ups.
Well,
too.
This one was my fault because somebody let me just like freestyle.
Yeah.
And I was going live and I didn't know what I was doing either.
And now I figured out, because the last couple times it's been that way and I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. And then I actually told Gabe, I said, oh, this is Brandon when we let him do this on his own. And now it's just on, and I didn't know how to switch it. So we just went, good thing we didn't screw up and say some dumb shit that we were like, oh, we'll just edit this out later. And then next thing you know, Shanice's brother is, kicked out of wherever he was.
I totally
on
forgot
this
about
huge,
that.
Massive thing. Man, anyway.
There was some gems in there that could have easily been edited out.
We could have easily screwed up a lot of things, not realizing that we were live.
Well, I'm glad that at least our producer ended it before we ended the podcast, and you just started getting on the mic like Christian Bale style and saying N-words and all kinds of stuff.
Nuts. Yeah, just dropping.
Luckily, he cut that out.
Dropping all the bombs. Oh my gosh, I cannot even imagine. Speaking of bombs, last week was a bad one.
Yeah, that was real rough.
That was brutal. But to my credit, I kind of said, look at the odds. Miranda Maverick. So on the Patreon, I said the only thing I love was Miranda Maverick. Everything else on that card was plus 110, minus 105. I mean, like the fights themselves were a lot of coin tosses.
And a lot of time, like the Pudilova fight. Like I got caught in that one. She could have made that fight so easy for herself. She got takedowns when she actually just committed to the takedowns and then just said, no, I'm just going to chill on the outside and just get picked apart. It's frustrating.
The other thing too, we're starting to see this. There's starting to be a weird, I think we've messed up. I think a lot of the MMA community has, maybe some cappers haven't, maybe other people are smarter than us, but I think there's a little bit of a shift of the old to the new garb. I think a lot of the guys that we have traditionally held in higher regards, the Jourdains, the Bill Algios, these people, they're starting to break a bit. Like some of these guys.
I thought Algio looked good until it just didn't.
I thought he was winning that whole fight until he got caught. And
real unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, like you just, like, is his chin just not what it? Once you lose your chin, it just isn't there anymore.
But I want to actually ask you that because it technically wasn't his chin. It was like just an orbital. It's kind of unrelated.
Yeah. I guess with him, and when he fell, he was like, no, like I'm out, I'm done. Like that was,
you could tell, bare knuckle stoppage.
I've broken my orbital before in a fight, and I didn't know what happened. Like getting dropped, getting rocked, getting hurt. You're like, oh, something weird is going on. Why can't I move my legs? When I had my orbital shattered, stitches, like my sinus cavity, like just a big brutal barrage of destruction. And I remember immediately I just like turned and like was like, I'm done. And it was actually an illegal knee on the ground, but I didn't know it at the time. I was just like, hey, I'm out, because I didn't know what happened. It was the worst pain I'd ever felt in my life. And it felt like something was like something bad was happening to my body. And so I get that. I do get that orbital break versus just like getting rocked or something.
So, I mean, and this is something I wanted to ask you too. So when we say the chin goes, that's literally, you're literally talking impact on the chin, because
not at all.
The temple,
not at all.
Counts?
That is, and the chin is a standard term for your ability to take a punch. That could be the chin, behind of the ear, your orbital, your head.
So they all count.
Yes. Your ability to withstand trauma to your structure of your body without getting knocked out.
So I've been chewing this gum, like copious amounts of gum for nothing.
Yes. The best way, a buddy of mine is a neurologist, and
your buddy James?
I don't have a buddy James.
Oh.
My friend John. My friend John here. So he's a neurologist, and I was asking him like what, and first of all, the short answer is we don't know. We don't know anything. All of the stuff that they say prevents concussions. He's like, yeah, no. He's like, it's all low hanging fruit. Like, take all of it. If it does help, great. Like, but really, there's nothing to prevent concussions. When you have a concussion, there's nothing to help it. He's like, all of the anecdotal stuff that they say, your omega-3s, the creatine, this and that. He's like, maybe it might work at some level, but nobody actually knows. And there's zero peer-reviewed research on any of it. He goes, if there was any actual knowledge of any of that, it would be all over every scientific journal on the planet, because as of now, we know nothing about concussions, how to prevent them, how to recover from them, and anything. He's like, the only thing you can do is stop getting hit in the head.
Yeah, like no shit. The whole health and wellness industry as a whole, it's just such a bullshit scam.
It really is. Well, a lot of it. But hold on, I want to talk about the what he said was the best way to describe concussions.
Okay.
And your chin, your ability to withstand punishment. And he said, think of your chin, your ability to withstand punishment as a rope, a big, thick rope. And every time you get hit, it's like somebody's taking a sharp knife and just like chopping it. And little by little, little spindles come off of thread or yarn, whatever it is, and they come off. He goes, but they never actually reattach. They never reform. They never regrow. And so little by little, and so he's like, as this rope gets thinner and thinner and thinner, every time you hit it, a couple of these spindles it's getting thinner and thinner.
The extra ones are falling off too.
Yes. And so it just it's never getting better. And so when you're young, you have a big, thick rope and your ability to take punishment. But as it goes and goes and goes, it just gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And then it never comes back. So
thinking about like this weekend, like a guy like Choi goes out almost every fight now.
And he's going to keep, Choi's got to do this. And we've seen this before. You do not see it a lot in MMA, especially at the lighter weights. These guys like Choi, if they want a resurgence in their career, they have to go full Andrei Arlovski, because Andrei Arlovski was getting knocked out by everyone on the planet. He's so good. He's so technical. He's so athletic. He's so fast. He's so everything is amazing. You touch him, he goes down. And now Andrei Arlovski for a decade is the jab, move, jab, frame, jab. Don't take these big hits. Then when he does get hit, he still goes out. Choi is going to keep going out. I mean, that's all there is to it.
It's not in his DNA to be that kind of guy. So this is something that actually fascinated me too. Dominic Cruz is the one gets rocked every fight now.
Yep.
And so his rope is very, very thin. But what was it against Pedro Munoz? He got rocked, and his natural instinct, he just started wrestling like incredibly. Like the way that when he would get rocked, his recoverability, and just like it seemed like he was so aware every time he got rocked. Whereas Choi got rocked, and Choi, I noticed this in the fight, and man, Choi's broke my heart for the last time. I lost so much money on him. Broke my heart for the last time. This has been happening for years. He gets hit, he gets rocked, and instead of recovering or clinching and holding, he fires back in the pocket, chin up, just firing. And that just seems to be his natural instinct.
So Greg Jackson actually said something years ago, and he said, when you're dead, tired, or you're hurt, you're going to always revert back to what you are best at and what is your first art. And Dominic Cruz's first art was wrestling. So when he gets hurt, he's automatically going to revert to wrestling. When Choi gets hurt, he's automatically going to start swinging. And so you can't, I don't know that there's any logic or reasoning that could prevent you from it or change you from it.
Your brain just says, this is what we know.
It's autopilot. You're on autopilot, and that whatever your natural instinct is your autopilot.
I used to love our great producer, like early in his pro career. You used to make fun of it all the time, but I loved it. He's such a good striker. He would pick apart everybody, and the second he would get touched, boom, blast double to take the bag. And you were like, dude, you're fine. Like, it doesn't hurt you.
You checked a calf kick. You're good.
And he's like, dude, I've got a blast double.
Coach, I'll never forget, man. It was like my 4th or 5th pro fight. And after that same thing happened, was doing just fine on the feet, got hit with like a jab or something. And I was like, oh, the judges are going to think I'm losing this round. Got to make it clear that I'm dominating, that I'm the aggressor. So I took him down. And I remember afterwards, you told me, you're like, hey, whatever you
in the
think,
middle of in between round 1 and 2.
in between rounds 1 and 2, you said, hey, whatever you think is happening in your head is not happening. You're like, dude, you're winning everywhere. Just go fight. And I remember thinking like, it was like 1,000,000 pounds lifted off of my chest, off of my shoulders. And I just went out and I was like, oh, dude, I'm good.
And then you rocked him, I think, with an uppercut and dropped him.
Dropped him with an overhand right.
Okay.
He fell face first. I took his back and then hit him with an uppercut from the back and then flattened him out and the ref jumped in. But it was like, oh, dude, we can trade. And even if he touches me and lands some shots, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I'll never forget that. Hey, whatever you think is going on in your head.
That was your instinct for a different reason. You weren't rocked or hurt. That was your instinct of like, shit, I'm losing on optics. I better shoot for my life. Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Overall, the fights were amazing last week, though. Those fights were...
Oh, the first few fights were very boring.
No, yeah, but the main card itself...
Picked up.
People had something to prove, man. That was wild. Man, the only sad part of that whole thing was our boy KT. Just, gosh, it really upsets me that KT, Korean Tiger, got, I think, rocked and went on and just started swinging just all...
Yeah, same thing.
Everything out. Because he's legitimately really good. He is really, really good. And to see him go out like that was upsetting. I mean, look, fights are fights. You win them, you lose them on your own. But from a coach, seeing what he's capable of and then just seeing how it plays out, you just hate to see that because you know what they're able to do and they're not able to show everything that they've shown.
One of my favorite things you've ever said, you said this at practice the other day too, how seriously you take wins and losses. And I think, honestly, that's like the best trait of you as a coach is that it's fucking serious for you. It's not like, I think there's a lot of coaches and some coaches have made so much money. They could give a shit less who wins, who loses, as long as the paycheck is the same, whatever. And they obviously want to keep winning because the optics of the gym and they get more popular and more aesthetics, but you take wins and losses super, super seriously. And, man, I think as a leader, that's the most important thing. All that matters at the end of the day is winning. Who was I talking to the other day? Maybe it was Corrales, Henry Corrales. And he goes, yeah, early in my career, I always wanted to put on a show. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And he goes, now, maybe it wasn't him. I don't know. But then they were like, then I just realized now it's just actually about winning. Oh, it was Shimon.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, now I just realized it's about winning. That's the important part.
That is all that matters. You, Gabe, have always said this. I want to put on a good show. I want exciting fights. And I've always said, how about we just win? Like, fuck exciting. Like, let's just win. And I would rather all of you win. Give me the worst decision ever. Like, you guys fucking lost and the judges robbed the other guy, but we walk away with the win over the best performance and the most exciting fight I've ever seen. Like, give me the win. Like, at the end of the day, no one's going to remember the fight. They're going to remember the record. And do you remember every single one of Mayweather's fights? Did you think that he won all of them? Do you think he got, like, other people got robbed? Man, maybe.
There's always people who chime in and be like, well, Marquez, well, this one, that one.
The dude is 50-0.
That's it.
That's all that matters. And none of us can take that away from him. Winning is everything. That is fucking it. When it matters. Now with youth sports, that is a whole different thing.
The losses are important.
Actually, my kids are going through that right now. They're wrestling. I was actually whether you're just starting out or whether you're a parent, this actually, it's not me chiming into how amazing my kids are. This is a lesson. My son Lennox, been wrestling for like 6-7 months, and he lost in this wrestling tournament, and this kid won the whole tournament, smoked everybody. And there's a lot of kids. There's like 18, 20 kids in this bracket. Lennox was up actually the entire match and then got pinned with 18 seconds left in the whole thing. The reason why I'm so happy about this is the kid was very good at a move. He was very good at, and he chose top. Most kids, you're always choosing bottom, you get your points. This kid chose top twice. Lennox chose bottom, and then this kid chose top. And we're like, what? And we could tell the second he was top bottom, all he was trying to do was jumping over far side cradle. And he didn't get it at the first period. But that's all he kept doing is jump over far side, jump over far side, jump over far side. But on the standing, Lennox was stopping his shot, snapping him down. I mean, this kid had been wrestling his whole life, but he had one move. And it made me happy to see Lennox just wrestling and actually being good. and losing versus this one kid who's really good at one move against 11-year-olds. But eventually those 11-year-olds are going to be able to stop that one move, and this other kid is not going to keep up. And so at youth athletics, you actually want kids to lose to get better, to be trying stuff. And then eventually they'll figure out how to win those moments. But just being like really good, it's like having a football team and having one good kid who can, score every touchdown there is and get every interception. And you win because that one kid is amazing. But nobody else really got any work. Nobody else got better.
Then everybody hits puberty and that kid can't perform the same way.
And that's actually what our wrestling coach, Angel Cejudo, he was like, we see this a lot. He's like, a lot of the Mexican kids here hit puberty before the white kids. He goes, and so you see a lot of these like Mexican kids with mustaches, just bully. He's talking about in his own
Christian
club.
Castillo.
Yeah, in his own club.
That kid's had a mustache since he was 7.
Yeah, like you see him. He's like, you'll see these kids who are working their technique but losing until they hit puberty. And then those kids that hit puberty early are the ones not doing well as the juniors and the seniors. They're doing great as freshmen and sophomores, but they don't hit, but they hit puberty too early and they can kind of muscle their way through stuff. And then they don't have the technique. And then the other kids that focus on their technique and then they hit puberty later, then they have the technique as they physically fill out. In youth sports, you want the losses, you want the lessons. Adult sports, professional sports, none of it matters but a win. That's it. It's fucking winning.
But there is times to still lose, even in adults. So, I got my black belt, a few months ago. And, as a brown belt, I always had a chip on my shoulder. Like, fuck, I deserve to be a black belt. I'm at a black belt level. Fuck all these people. I want to show everybody how good I am because I have something to prove. Now as a black belt, like the pressure's off me. I'm not like reaching and trying to tell people. I'm like, dude, I'm a pro fighter. I know I'm good. I'm a black belt. And I've been tapped out more as a black belt than I had probably my whole purple and brown belt careers because I'm putting myself in bad positions and I'm taking my losses to see how I can.
Yeah, but you're doing that in training.
That's the point.
In training.
Not in a fight.
That's 100%. And even jiu-jitsu, even wrestling matches, even all of that. Like, look, winning is great, but it doesn't matter because you always have the next season, the next tournament, and you can just go. None of it matters. And then you're good and great.
Fights is everything. Fighting, is right now.
You only have one record. You never have a season. You never have a reset. It is what it is. It's the only sport where you don't get a do-over. And
that's why training is those times to take those chances and opportunities. And like you said, people that have one move. All right, well, let's go test out this one move.
Exactly. And then if you can defend it, then good luck.
Shit.
So,
all right, well,
let's talk
started.
Fights. Let's go. We got UFC 301, 2, 3, 4, 5. What are we at?
UFC 304.
Hey, so at 1, I actually watched film on a woman's fight, and I'm kind of ashamed of it. I feel a little dirty, but I had to do it because there was one fight I didn't want to talk about, and so I felt bad and had to make up for it.
Yeah, I know which fight.
So Jake Hadley and Caolan Loughran.
I feel so in the middle of this. Yeah.
So here's the thing, you guys. I'm not going to talk about it. If you want to, go for it. Because both of these guys have spent like a month at our gym, and I think they both might come back. And I really like both of these guys.
They're both cool. They're great lads.
And they keep in touch. They'll message me. They've asked me about some coaching things and some weight class issues and different stuff. So
they both congratulated me on my fight.
Yeah,
they both follow my crazy ex-girlfriend.
It's
I'm not kidding.
But I want to start with that because we're not going to. What a clash of styles, and they're both really good. Like Caolan is a horse. He is strong as shit, stiff as a board, hits hard. I don't think he knows what head movement is, and he has a cinder block for a head.
His head is so big, you really can't move that thing without a crane.
You can't move the earth. And then, but if he gets on top of you, holy shit, Jake is really smooth and fast and fires combos, does not have great wrestling, but man, is scrambling and wiggling and going. I love this fight, and I can't wait to watch it as a fan. I don't have any skin in the game.
Let me just say one thing about this is every day, and I am so self-conscious. I've had body dysmorphia since I was 14. And every day I go to the gym now, like Ray Waters today comes up to me and goes, Oliveira, you're looking pretty big, man. And I'm like, all right, man, come on.
All right, I'm not going to eat for the next month.
Yeah, fuck off. I'm a big 25er. Hadley's way bigger than me.
Both of them are.
Well,
they're fighting this one at 35.
At 30. So
but
what I was trying to get to is I think this is actually going to be a much better weight class for Hadley. Hadley was murdering himself to make 25. That dude is fucking massive. People don't get it. Caolan is shorter.
Oh, Caolan's been at 35, right?
He's been at 35.
Yeah.
But he's wide as a house. But Hadley's taller.
So because you said that, I'll say Hadley was asking me if he thought that if I thought he should go up or thought on going, and I was like, dude, this is before this fight was ever announced.
Was there a lot of mystery between that? Caolan's like 5'3" and fights 35. Hadley's 5'7" and he's massive and looks like he's about to keel over and die.
He said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Man, I'm always an advocate for going up in weight class and fighting and having the energy to fight and performing versus trying to murder yourself to get small and then not being able to perform."
Well, we saw that in that last fight, right, with Charles Johnson. He looked so good at the first round, and his boxing was great, and he just lost that last gear. Honestly, I 100% think that's the weight class. This fight, to me, I like both guys a lot. They're both proper lads. Pandering.
Gosh.
They're both great lads. They're both super cool. I talk to them both all the time, too. I think it's going to be a great stand-up war. Honestly, I envision almost no grappling. Well, maybe Caolan would take him down. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope they just box because they both have good styles.
I don't care because they're both so exciting. I think it's just going to be I think it's going to be a very exciting fight.
A proper scrap?
Yeah, proper scrap.
I didn't study up on my UK lingo for this one. I really should have.
Isn't it so much better than ours?
Yeah, hell yeah.
It really is. All right, so what's our first fight of the night?
Fight number 1, Modestas Bukauskas -166 versus Marcin Prachnio +140.
You want to go? You want me to go? Where are we starting?
Yeah, I read your little notes. I read your little notes.
Did you agree or disagree?
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, I read your little notes.
Tell me your thoughts on my notes.
I don't think Graham Boylan's setting Modestas up to lose in that country, you know? Grammy G. Prachnio slows down a lot, right? Even at a weird middle pace and just throwing kicks and doing random stuff, he slows down a lot. So round 3, I can pretty much attribute to Modestas, right? Modestas has a good gas tank. He's got his flaws. He's got all his stuff, but I pretty much give Modestas round 3. Now, Prachnio has a lot of kicks, a lot of karate. Honestly, his optics are pretty bad. He's always like doing this all the time. A lot of kicks. The thing is, the last fight, right? We expected Devin Clark to wrestle a lot. Devin Clark wrestled not at all. Just was trying to have a technical fight, but he swings too wide and he just swings all power. Doesn't ever just touch. Modestas has clean hands. A lot has been made of him over the past and, his volume and his output issues and kind of skirting the cage and just being overall kind of a weenie. But the 2 fights before the Petrino fight, he stepped up. I mean, he looked way better. He did get hurt, come back and win the fight. He's got sharp hands, clean hands. I really think he's going to close that distance, that kicking range that Prachnio needs. I think Modestas is really good at zipping in, zipping out. I think he's going to land the bigger, more eye-catching shots. I don't think he's as low IQ as Devin Clark, and that fight was even kind of close, right? Give me Modestas, just faster, more agile. I like Modestas here.
I just can't get behind him just staring. He just stares and stares and stares, and then all he does is lunge in with that lead hook again and again and again and again. And it'd be one thing if he had power or if he had volume, or if he was going to attack in really any way that there was. And I think he's a better fighter than Prachnio everywhere. I just think the way he approaches the fight is off. And Prachnio, I mean, you hit it with what I thought is just the volume, is he just does stuff versus Modestas, who just waits for you to do stuff and hopes to counter. And for 2 guys who don't have a lot of power, if you were to say, how does, forget about in this fight, how does Modestas Bukauskas win a fight? If you're all right, he's got to go in, he's hurt, he's down 2 rounds, go. What do you say?
Yeah, that's a great question. We don't know.
Right. And with Prachnio, it's the exact same thing. It's kind of maybe it's... Can
I put a little sidebar in there?
Yeah, go for
it. You kind of talk about this all the time, ways to, how do you win? And I think that's something, I know we get a lot of people that ask us hey, I'm taking my first fight or I'm starting my first jiu-jitsu tournament. I think one of the most important things is how do you win? And honestly, you ask 95% of fighters, how do you win? Nobody has a fucking clue.
Yeah.
You ask me, I'm I'm going to get the back and choke you. That's how I win. Now I can do a bunch of other stuff, but how do I win? So if you're starting out, find out how you win. Get really good at one thing and then develop a game around that. But Modestas, you're right. How does he win?
Yeah, how do you
a
win?
Decision, but more accurate punch? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like you're down 2 rounds and you have to go win. You have to go put a stamp on it and finish this fight. And that's the same thing with Prachnio.
Yeah, how does he win?
No, I think it's very the same. I think it's two of the very same things. Like you don't really have a good, clear way that either of these guys would finish a fight.
So you just really, I think this comes down to, do you value kicks and a few more kicks, or do you value punches?
Well, I don't even think it's that. To me, yes, Prachnio does start with kicks, but he will throw hands too. None of it is great, but he does do the right stuff. If he's taken down, he gets up and he wiggles, and enough of the right stuff. If you have two guys that don't have,
are you dying? It's hot in here.
It's hot.
Are you turning the AC down? Yeah, do it.
Do you mind just continuing on this one? I need to go run and grab some hydration.
Yeah, do it. Okay. I'm gonna finish. I'll start on the next one. Go.
I'll be back.
So with Prachnio and with Modestas, neither of them are great submission guys. Neither of them have amazing power. Neither of them are super brittle either. So you expect the other one to just win. And so I'm going, how do these guys win? And it's volume. Prachnio is volume, and he just throws more and does more. And for that reason, I've got to go with Prachnio because I think he can win round 1. I think he could win enough for round 2. And then, I mean, it's just so little on Modestas's volume meter that if Prachnio doesn't just death gas, then I kind of lean Prachnio on this. So,
of course, Brandon leaves in the next fight as a girl.
I know.
Girl fight. Did you
but
watch?
I taped it. I taped it.
All right.
Taped this, man. Come at me.
All right,
Come at me.
Shauna
I'm ready.
Bannon versus Alice Ardeline. They're actually, I think it's because it's such a newer fight, there are actually no odds for this one.
So I saw odds. Where did I see odds? Somewhere on this already. And they had Alice at plus 185. And this is Monday afternoon. This will be up Tuesday morning. If you guys can find the odds, for me, I'll do the quick version. Slam Alice, and then we'll get into the details right now. But Shauna Bannon, that was fast. That was like ninja fast.
Whoa! All right, don't be racist. I'm back.
So, first of all, Bannon she's a karate girl. She actually has really good movement in and out. Like, she's a karate girl. She's moving in and out, very narrow. We saw her in the Bruna Brazil fight where she's lifting that knee and skipping it in 100 times. Like, she's going to side kick her. It's a straight point karate fight. But Bruna Brazil kind of is the same way where she's karateing around and moving around and bouncing around. And there was just nothing going on. And then but Bannon has zero power. A mosquito will punch 17.6 times harder than her.
But she's a mother.
That makes zero sense. She's Mama B. And then
somebody did their research.
Yeah, Mama B over here. But then, so she has no power. At 115, I feel like she should cut to atomweight. Just go down to the UFC atomweight division.
They don't have an atomweight division.
No, I know that she needs to start it.
I hate that I just fell right into that.
You got me. And she's just small. She's frail. And then you look at Alice, whatever, and I was like, all right, they're feeding Mama B. I
believe it's Elise.
Alice's restaurant over here. So Elise is fucking mean. First of all, she's a thick girl.
Fat ass.
Big fat ass. And she swings for the fences. You go near. Did you watch her fight with Wei Li?
No, I didn't.
That was a while ago, but her and Wei Li are just I'm your Huckleberry, let's swing. And they're just swung. And then Wei Li took her down and ended up, in both rounds took her down. She didn't want those
was scared.
problems.
Yeah, she was scared.
She was scared. So anyway, man, I got Elise for just physicality and power and swing. And she gets on top. Some of these girls have shot on her and she's just stuffing them. And she's not even techniquing. She's just shoving her hip in and just mashing these girls to the ground and just beating them.
That shit is nice. When people shoot on her, she just throws them into the cage.
Oh my, she's mean. She's physical. She's 38 pounds heavier than this. Dude, give me at least all day at plus 185. Oh my God. Like,
yeah, you know what? I get conflicted, right? So sometimes I see stuff.
Hold on. Before you go, because one other thing. This is a last minute replacement. So she was supposed to fight somebody else, and then the fight got canceled out, and so they brought her in. And so I think there's somebody else, there's a couple other people on the card who were supposed to fight different fights that were supposed to be win fights for them in their home country. And now we're starting to see these replacement fights are much tougher than the original ones. On these themed cards in different nations, generally they want people to have very favorable matchups.
Oh yeah, she was supposed to fight Ravena, all of it.
Yes.
Oh my God, Ravena is the one that I told you, and she did it again. Do you remember?
What was it?
She posted that highlight clip and like put the music behind it.
No.
And the caption, I can't remember the caption. It's like, when an eagle spots its prey, it fucking lashes its talons. And the clip was her, the opponent throwing a jab at her and missing, and her firing back a jab that also missed.
Yeah, I mean it's that like. We also see it with Christian Leroy Duncan. He was supposed to fight a can for an easy win in his home country. Now he's fighting Gregory Rodrigues. That's a different fight there. But anyway, so Mama B was supposed to get a layup, and now all of a sudden she's playing against LeBron.
I actually don't know if she would have won that fight either.
I don't know if she would have, but it was a much easier fight than this one.
Bad. So here's why I get conflicted, right? I remember I was conflicted. This is Kendrick. Sean Bitter, who I respect much, very much. I love Sean Bitter. I do like every 6 months, I'll shout out his Patreon. Go follow MMA Wizard. Love him. Love his write-ups. Love everything he does. Great opinions. When it got announced that Elise Ardeen signed to the UFC, he must have met her at some point in his life. She must have turned down his DM. She must have smacked him. She must have offended him somehow. She must have cursed the entire state of Kentucky. Because he went on X, formerly known as Twitter, and he was like, I cannot believe the UFC would sign this woman. She's so bad. This company's going to the ground.
I asked you about that. I didn't realize this was even that girl. I asked you about her last week. I said, who's this girl? Because people are going nuts on it. Oh, I did not even put those two things together.
Yeah. Bitter was
okay.
He was
mad.
He was mad. I've never seen him this mad since Weston Wilson got signed, and Weston Wilson just won. So, you know, I went into the tape with that in my mind, and I didn't want to. And, you know, much ado has been made about the OnlyFans stuff. And you know what? I think everybody needs to ease up on the OnlyFans stuff. Normal people do it these days. It is what it is. You know, it's a viable source of income, and she's got 3 million TikTok followers. Let it be, right? Let it be.
It's a new day. It's a new Brandon.
The only thing,
and it is hotter than shit in this room.
Yeah,
you actually like turn the fan up on it too?
It's set to 73. It was just at 80. So
no, but turn the fan up. Like if you hit the fan button, it'll go. Yeah, so is mine. I'm like,
remember the last time this happened? You bought a $20,000 podcast studio because of it.
We were in the old warehouse, just sweating profusely.
And I'm not allowed to bring my gun anymore, so we can't go back to the hood.
We cannot. We do not need those problems. So anyway,
I like Elise Ardeen here. I think like watching Bannon against Bruna, and I like Bruna. I'm a big Bruna guy. Nobody will join Bruna I've loved her forever. Bannon's so bad. Like watching the way that she holds her hands, the way that she bumbles around, like she's just so bad. Honestly, to me, she looks like Mama B, like joined a cardio kickboxing class. It is to me that bad, and I don't know if some of that has to do with like whatever karate style that she learned and trying to morph it into an actual MMA game, but she's not very good. And not saying Elise is a world beater, but I think this is a clash of styles. Elise will meet you head on in the middle.
Well, she's just physical. And in women's MMA, we see that so much where the physicality level is so it doesn't matter how good or technical one girl is. If you don't have the physicality to match, it's like
Jazz Divicious.
Well, no, it's any 125-pound man versus any 125-pound woman. Like you could get the best 125-pound woman in the world and go grab me, I don't know, the worst 125er in our gym.
I'm right here.
And they are going to just throw the girl down and beat her up. It just, the physicality level is different. I mean, it's why we don't have transgender sports, guys.
Yeah. I like Elise here. Like watching the stuff, my only concern, I guess, is What was funny? What I missed on that one?
Nothing. We were just talking.
All right, you guys. I like Elise. Yeah. My biggest concern is the level of competition. Like, obviously, the last few girls that she's fought are like 0-3, 1-4. So, like, yes, she looks really good, but she's also doing that against shit people. But just like purely on like, okay, this is the technique. This is actually what she's doing. This is her fundamentals. I see Bannon doing a bunch of bullshit on the outside, coming in with a switch kick, and then
I feel like you're in the middle of like a long essay that you need to reach 1,000-word count, and you only have 200. So you're just talking like you're fluffing the content right here.
All right. Well, I like Ardeen, and here's why. No, I'm just kidding.
Can we end this now? Will you cut his mic off?
All right. Next, we have Sam Patterson -360 versus Kiefer Crosbie at +285.
Remember the last time we saw Sam Patterson at -3 something against
he won his last fight, and it was
no before that against. Yeah. Oof.
I just think this line is insane to me a little bit. Like, Patterson is fine. He's very long. His striking's actually better than I remember. Like, he's got long 1s, 2 straight punches, but he, like you said kind of earlier, he's got no power. With one of the girls, he's got no power, and Crosbie get kind of a lot of hate, but the dude boxes and he puts combinations together. Like, I think Patterson will probably win. I read you a little write up to and said, give it a few minutes. And I totally agree. But Crosbie puts combinations together and he swings big old meat hooks over the top. Like, it's very viable as long as Kiefer's cardio holds up. He's going to be pressing the action the entire time. He's going to be landing the bigger punches. Patterson's got a very, his game is, I think, a lot of times predicated on people pressing him and gassing out, or pressing him and making mistakes. And Kiefer will press him, but I don't know how many mistakes he's going to make, right? Like, I really feel Kiefer can win a striking fight in this one. I think his boxing is just cleaner and sharper if he can get in on the inside. So, I mean, I think Sam wins, but I almost threw up in my mouth finding out what the line was. -350 to me is kind of insane.
Sam does he's a really good grappler, but he doesn't offensively grapple. He defensively grapples.
All defense.
And if you were to just grab Kiefer and then just any sort of, it doesn't even matter, touch him, just grab him, something will happen to where you'll end up on his back and choke him out. The elephant in the room with Sam is that chin popping up, but his head is so large from like chin to the top of his head. It's like 3 feet tall. Like, I don't know if you could tuck that thing, like if he looked at the ground. Like, I don't even understand the physiology of how a human has a head shaped like that. I've watched cone heads, and so I understand how it can happen, but I also understand as an adult human that was a movie and that movies are not real.
His actual body's 5'7", but his head makes him 6'3".
It doesn't make sense, like how tall his head is. And so you look at that, and then you add the fact that he throws a jab and he's like, where's the ceiling? And then he throws a hook and he's like, who's up there? And he just keeps, like, that thing just keeps flying up. It's painful. It's unbelievable how insane that is. He's a good fighter. He has great cardio. Dude, he does everything well. It's what we were talking about, the chins earlier. Like, man, like Orlovsky was a great fighter, but once his chin went, that was it. Sam Patterson is a good fighter, but holy shit, put your fucking chin down. Thing with Crosbie is he's got so much quit in him, it's stupid. And he's got these little T-Rex arms, and he will land a really good combo. But if you don't just crumble in front of him, like if Patterson just fights and doesn't get, is it Yanal Amouche? Is that his name? Who just like head down, just wing. Like, if he just gets even rocked, but he has the good enough cardio to just recover, he's good. He just can't be put out. So I like Patterson. I like Patterson by submission. Man, you're going to clinch your bum for a little bit
every time he fights.
Yeah, every time that chin comes up in the air. But I do like him. He should be the A side. But
I just wish he had a little bit more stopping power. Yes. Just a little bit, because I see him throw those 1s, 2s, but they're very non-committal 1s and 2s. And he does.
Or if he would offensively wrestle and get to his ground, which
he's good.
His ground is really good. He has really long arms. He knows how to finish the choke.
He really wants to be a striker really badly.
So,
all right. Next up, we have Christian Leroy Duncan at -142 versus Gregory Rodrigues at +120.
This is out of my order right here. This threw me off. I was expecting Oban Elliott.
This is how, this is how it's listed. Yeah, it's a little bit out of order on mine too, but this is how UFC has it listed.
All right, well, UFC. Well, let's take a look at this. Leroy Duncan was supposed to fight somebody else. He was supposed to. Who the hell was he?
Robert Brzeski.
That's it. This is a rough one. I love Duncan's aura. We talk about aura lately.
The aura failed him against Petrosian.
It did fail him. But he also, I rewatched that fight. He looked bad. He was trying to overswing everything, was trying to overdo everything.
Everything spinning, everything.
It was bad. And honestly, his fights before that and his fights after that look a lot better where
he just chilled.
Less. Yeah, less is more, and he's doing the right stuff. And
was that his first UFC fight?
Petrosian? No, he knocked out, I think, 2 people prior to that. Let me look really quickly.
He had the Dusko one where the knee thing happened. And then
he knocked out Dusko. Yeah, it was Dusko before that. Then that Petrosian fight was a decision. Then he knocked out Dennis Tillulin and Claudio Ribeiro. Now, I like Duncan a lot. But Tillulin and Ribeiro were both just heavy bags. They were just, they just stood there to take their beating. There's really not much to say on that. And then you're fighting RoboCop, who just is RoboCop. He has great cardio. He won't die. And really his downfall is the button of the chin that he has. And so there's that. Now with Duncan, like, I don't know. This fight kind of reminds me almost of like a Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. When you look at Aldo, and he's kind of rigid in his Muay Thai stance, and it's very good, but it's just stiff, and everything is very regimented, and like he throws tight and high guard, and it's just very specific. And then you look at Conor, who's very good as well, but just flowy and loose, and like, really style-wise, very good strikers, but just different style. This one I'm really torn on because the strength of schedule goes to RoboCop times a million. Man, his jab, his technical stuff is just phenomenal. But he just stands there, and he kind of has a tall head as well. Like we talked about Patterson, where the reason, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, is he doesn't narrow his shoulder up and duck it so he can kind of protect. He's really square, and his shoulders are low. And so just by design, his head is just exposed, and he doesn't move off of center line, and he doesn't rock. He's just right there just to be hit. And he's very good at what he does, but he's very freaking hittable as well. But then we saw him with Chidi, and Chidi right off the bat just hurt him. But that was the knee that came up, and of course he beat him up. Chidi was death gassed 2 minutes into that fight, and it hadn't, like, Chidi didn't blow his load trying to swing and go. 2 minutes into that fight, he was dead. And we've seen that with Rodrigues, a lot of his guys, they're just gassing. I'm kind of going all over the place here because I really like Duncan. I really like his straight punches. I really like how he switches stances and knife stuff. He doesn't stay in the pocket. He moves away. I do like what I see with him, and I think stylistically he can really hurt Rodrigues and pose a lot of problems. But if it gets after a round, Leroy definitely slows down. That power goes away after 3 minutes. And yeah, he finds people and he hurts them, but these are guys that are like dead on the stool, basically. And
you really feel his cardio is that bad?
I don't feel like his cardio is that bad. I feel like his power on it goes, like that death touch goes away. And then it's kind of, these guys they're losing versus him going and winning. Again, you have Tillulin and Ribeiro. Before he got into the UFC, he fought that wrestler kid who he just, need coming up. But the dynamic power goes away. And then if you don't have a death touch, now you're talking about, okay, now I have to pick somebody apart. He doesn't go first a lot, and he waits. And then he's not like putting jabs out there and touching and going and forcing you to, he's waiting and he was waiting, and then he's trying to swing and still knock you out. He just doesn't have the power to do it. And then you add Rodrigues, who can wrestle, who will keep going, who, even if you hurt him, if you don't put him out, is just going and going and going. the aura and everything makes me think like, man, Christian Leroy Duncan can put Rodrigues away. I think if he doesn't put him away in a round, I don't think he's winning a decision.
I vehemently disagree on all of that.
Really? Okay.
And here's why. It's weird. Gregory has been in the UFC now, right, for some time, and all of a sudden his cardio got really good. People forget that pre-UFC his cardio wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And he made a lot of grappling mistakes. And I talked about it so many times. He was his claim to fame was purple belt world champion, whatever it was, and makes critical grappling mistakes like quite frequently, like lets people out of the back and falls off for arm bars and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff not necessarily gone away. He's got a bad chin. I think he's got a legitimately bad chin. That's just how I feel. He gets hurt a lot and his recoverability is good and he'll come back, but he's been hurt so many times. I think he's so stiff. And I think he's a powerful guy. All right. I think he's legitimately very powerful. I do like that he keeps a very simple game. I know that Henry Hooft, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And that's his game. Jab, right hand, keep it clean. Actually, my only concern in this fight is like if he does wrestle and puts that game plan together. But
wrestling is what tires Leroy out. It tires Leroy out too. It definitely fades him out.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at the Will Curry fight. Like he wrestled a ton in that fight, and that was a great fight. And he went all 15 minutes. I think that actually Christian Leroy Duncan has the way better, in my opinion, has way better cardio than Gregory Rodrigues.
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
I think in the Petrosian fight, he got just like a little bit mind fucked a bit, right? He was just losing to the punch. He knew he was down, so he's just going for Hail Marys and doing stupid things. I think since that time, he's readjusted. I think that stationary target, and I was watching that with Ribeiro. Ribeiro just stands there, swings big punches. Leroy was just clowning him.
He looked good. He looked good in that fight.
Moving all around him, finding angles, finding openings, and kind of finished it whenever he wanted to. I think he's just a lot more dynamic. I think he moves so much better. I think if he does get grappled, he's got the athleticism and kind of the wherewithal to stand up. And I think at some point he's going to find that chin of Rodrigues. And you kind of use this as for another fight too. Rodrigues has to fly to the UK and the hotels and the flights and all the time changes, that stuff.
Last minute. I don't know when this fight was announced, but this wasn't the original fight.
Yeah. I think that CLD is just more dynamic and he's going to find it. He's creative with his strikes. Being in the UK
One thing
crowd.
I like about CLD a lot in this fight is punch for punch, his chin is going to hold up way better than
he takes strikes really well. Yeah.
Have we seen him hurt?
Maybe early on, but he's fought so many good guys and he's fought big power hitters. Even this guy, Dejati Milan, like he had a lot of hype on him when they went into that fight and he just tooled him. I think against slow, stiff strikers, he's good. Petrosian is so underrated and
high volume.
And yeah, he just made so many good reads, and they were little strikes, not big ones.
I'm with you. I'll go with you. This is a big step up in competition, and I think that I don't know. I think Christian Leroy Duncan has a lot to like. I don't think he's quite ready to fight those top guys yet. I think he needs a little bit more experience. I think we're seeing better versions of him every time out. But I think the chin is what's really going to save him here.
I think when he's fighting guys in the top 5, top 10 next year, we go, oh my God, he's had aura this whole time. And this is part of his ascension. I think we're going to look back and be like, oh man, that one was a no-brainer. This is how I feel. And I like Gregory. I think he's very good too, but I got CLD here.
Okay.
All right, cool. Next, we have Oban Elliott, plus 124 versus Preston Parsons at minus 148.
You go first. I think I went first on the last one, didn't I?
I don't know. I'm real split on this one. I'm real split on this one. Parsons is the little engine that could, and Oban has been a crazy man and then been a calm man and then been a crazy man and then been a calm man. God, this one is really tough.
It's a really hard one, right? Like, because these guys are both very similar in a lot of aspects. They both have good cardio. They both have good wrestling, but different styles of wrestling. Preston Parsons, who didn't grow up wrestling, will shoot like almost like high crotch, high seas, fireman type outside singles, get stuffed, and then reattack and knee slide and, reshoot his way in. Whereas Oban is a much more MMA European Jack Shore, grab you, pull your ankles in, drag you to the mat, ankle pick on the cage.
So I feel like what you're saying is a lot of words just to say Preston Parsons is a better wrestler.
No.
You really think Oban's a better wrestler?
I think Parsons is a good wrestler out in the open, and I think Oban is a good wrestler on the cage. And I don't think Oban is a great wrestler in the open, and I don't think Parsons is a great wrestler on the cage.
So let's do this one together. Now striking wise, who you give the advantage to?
Again, it's kind of funny because Oban has really good long punches out in the open, good 1s and 2s, big, strong, powerful stuff. Once people crowd inside that pocket, he starts to reach and move away and does not do well in there. Parsons is not great on the outside, doesn't know what a jab is, and kind of just rolls his way into hooks and uppercuts and tries to, like, almost in a wrestling stance. It's almost like he's mixing in wrestling. It's almost looks like when he's fighting that he's doing a drill that's like old school Uriah Faber punch, wrestle, punch, wrestle, punch, wrestle, where he's trying to get inside and touch a knee and come up with an uppercut and follow with the hook and reshoot, even if that's not actually what he's trying to do. But it kind of seems like that to me. So I think I wrote this on the write-up too, is I think that if this was in Vegas, I would give this to Parsons. I would align it that way because I think he was, would you say he was minus 130?
Yeah, Parsons is minus 148.
Okay, so minus 148. I earlier when I was looking at it, I think when I did the write-up, I think they had him at 120 or 130, something like that. So it was a little slight favorite. And I liked him there, but him flying across the pond with the travel, with the time change, all things being equal, I think that this is a very, very, very close fight. I think it's going to go to a decision. And then I think it comes down to being in Oban's backyard with the big wows every time Oban swings. I do like Oban. The thing with Parsons, it's funny because both these guys do a good job of getting takedowns, but neither of them control. I think Oban has a little bit of better jiu-jitsu, and I think Parsons has a little bit better blast going through. I think this is a 50-50 fight. I think being in Oban's backyard, I give it to him just based off of bigger moments, bigger punches, bigger crowd roars. Yeah, that's my thought.
I'm actually looking at this now. Sorry, I didn't get to really tape this one too much because I know these guys pretty well. I think that Oban's gonna cruise here. I forget sometimes that Parsons, I was fading him big time in the Semmelsberger fight, and I guess I did realize, but I chose to ignore the fact that Semmelsberger is a insane ape and just kind of an idiot and mental case, and just refuses to sprawl or get up or do anything. Oban's got some really good wins. I mean, I'm a big Cage Warriors guy. I love me some Cage Warriors. And I'm looking at this, and I can be objective, who I think is actually good, right? I think Kike Brito, who he fought on Contender Series, is good. Mm-hmm. And he came back from the depths.
And he will fight hard for 15 minutes.
Yep. Val Woodburn, obviously, I don't think is a good win or anything like that, whatever. James Sheehan. I think James Sheehan is good. And honestly, James Sheehan's pretty similar to Preston Parsons. Kind of that like long, like noodly guy, inside low kicks, decent striking, will wrestle and grapple. And that's how he wins. I think Sheehan at some point will get into the UFC. And he decisioned him. Beat Matthew Bonner, who's a big, tall sip of water. Like, he's got some good wins, and he does know how to ride out top time. The one thing that I like about Jack Shore and Shore's camp just in general is they're really good game planners, I believe, too. If Oban comes in this fight and is not expecting to sprawl, then he deserves to lose, and I deserve to lose for betting on him.
But Oban's also not going to lay on his back like Semmelsberger.
Exactly. And he's going to stand up.
That's the thing.
And Parsons gets really tired when he starts missing takedowns. I like Oban. Like, literally, the blueprint is, hey, I'm going to meet you in the middle with boxing. I'm going to sprawl, defend these takedowns. You're going to get tired. I'm going to go win. So
I think it just has to keep it on the outside boxing, just long punches. And then when
I know Oban's going to shoot, though. He always does.
Yeah, but I think if he shoots, I think he's fine. I don't think he has to worry about shooting. I think what he has to worry about is getting shot on. Parsons being the big athletic dynamic guy, lifting him up and getting the takedowns, and not getting ground and pound and not getting submitted, losing clock with how much time it takes him to get back up.
That sounds like Parsons' condition is so small to win.
Yes.
Let me hold you for 3 minutes and then hope that
really
mine.
Do.
Yeah. Let's go Oban. That's a good dog right there. Really good.
I think so.
All right, cool. Next, we have Mick Parkin, minus 278 versus Łukasz Brzeski at plus 225.
You're crazy for this one.
You think I'm crazy?
Yes.
I think, I said maybe I'm crazy.
No, you are crazy for this one.
Dude, I mean, Mick Parkin is beating Jamal Pogues.
Good. Hey, you want to talk shit on Jamal Pogues? Look what he did to Fatboy Peterson, and look what Fatboy Peterson did to Mo.
Kyle Machado.
Good fighter.
And Mohammed Usman.
One of the best, according to everyone last week.
And Brzeski, dude, at least he throws good stiff punches. You take him down, he knows to get back up. I'm going Brzeski for the upset, people.
No further elaboration?
Well, what more? Like Mick Parkin, I think he's very mediocre everywhere.
He just doesn't make mistakes.
He doesn't. That's the thing, is he doesn't make mistakes, but he's not big volume. Like Kyle Machado can't wrestle to save his life and was playing off of his back. And that, I thought Machado won that fight.
Different style though. Like,
no, it's not though. Like Brzeski is going to win a lot of these striking exchanges. He's going to get taken down, but he sits up, gets wrist control, gets back up. And then Parkin has got to like get in range with Brzeski's long jab. Like I think Brzeski is not amazing. Honestly, if Brzeski had good cardio, you would say, dude,
but he doesn't.
He doesn't. But he's fighting guys like Carl Williams, who's going to blast double a freight train.
Carl Williams also has bad cardio.
Yeah, but just that style is going to tire anybody out who's getting blast doubled like that.
Keep it really simple. Watch. Let's keep it really simple.
Brzeski.
Look, you and I both called Brzeski last fight.
Yes.
And he was a massive underdog.
Was he? I know he was an underdog, man.
Yeah, he was like plus 300, plus 400, something crazy. And then mid-fight, after he lost the first round, he was like plus 600. We just kept loading and loading and loading. We're like, okay, this is going to happen. I guess put it like this. Was it a split decision or was it unanimous?
I don't know. I think it was unanimous.
Let's check it out. I just can't remember.
Yeah. Walker.
Yeah, okay, so it was unanimous. But it was a close fight. And there were arguments to be had on both sides, right? Mm-hmm. If it was unanimous either way, you'd be like, I get it, right? Because he got up and got some good punches. Walter's amongst the worst I've ever seen. Like, not ever, but he's not good. He has like 3 minutes of cardio. His wrestling is kind of shit. Doesn't really do much from the top, has bad submissions. And that was a very close fight. And honestly, after the first round, Walter's just standing there being a punching bag, right? And that was a close fight. Mick Parkin, you know, he had a good fight with Usman. Like he lost the first round on volume, but he showed a full repertoire. Like the guy is not, you know, an outstanding blue chip athlete. He's not, you know, the greatest submission guy ever. He's not the best wrestler ever. He's not the best striker ever, but he does everything well and he just doesn't make mistakes. Brzeski is 1-3 in the UFC and only beat Walter, who made his UFC debut. Like if he's having that fight, close of a fight with Walter, like what do you think would happen if Walter and Mick fought?
I think Walter wins.
Oh my God. I cannot with you today. I think Mick is probably one of the safer, in my opinion, one of the safer pieces on the card. I like Brzeski, explosive striking, but I think Mick's just going to end up taking him down and then beating him up on the feet a little bit and take him down again. And he's going to probably be the first fighter to die inside the octagon due to cardiac arrest.
All right. What do we got? What's next?
Molly McCann at minus 325 versus Bruna Brazil plus 270.
All right. Tell us about this because I didn't tape this one.
I hope they make a nice little tape after the fight.
All right.
Just lesing out.
Oh. Okay.
Molly's a wild child. I mean, I know she's married now and settled, but, you know, that never stopped anybody before.
Okay. No. And on to the next fight.
And that's it. I think the line is kind of crazy, minus 350 for Molly. I think that's a bit much. I don't know how to say. Like the striking, I favor Molly because Molly does have power and she is a good boxer. And she's gonna have to crash the pocket and crash the distance, like Denise Gomez did. And she can hurt Bruna for sure. But Bruna is better than people pretend that she is. She sticks, she moves, she's got good high kicks. Her counter grappling is good.
She's the woman Mick Parkin. She's just okay at everything and just doesn't make too many mistakes.
Be nice. Honestly, she's probably the cutest on the roster. Not her actual face and like body, but like the little videos she makes, like the little soccer videos and the, like shaking up like the car, the F1. I love it. I think Molly's boxing is going to get it done here.
Now, does Molly win by spinning something?
I sure hope not.
Isn't she like 3 in a row or something like that?
I sure hope not because her boxing, legitimately, I really love her boxing. She fights like a boxer. And she's one of the few in the UFC that actually does that. And then she'll mix that in with a bunch of spinning bullshit. And I'm like, man, if you just stick to the fundamentals, you'd be so clean. But she seems really focused now. She seems in good shape. Honestly, as long as her cardio holds up, and that's my biggest concern at this weight class. We do have evidence of how Bruna looks 15 minutes into a fight. We don't so much Molly at this new weight class. And one thing I will say is the last fight, she looked a little bit tired after she beat Belbitsa, which is fine. You know, we don't know how she would have recovered. But I think bigger punches, being in the UK, like you said, the flights, all that stuff, I would go Molly's going to win. I think the line is a bit wide, but I do think she wins.
Okay.
All right, next we have the biggest favorite on the card, Nathaniel Wood, minus 425 versus Daniel Pineda at plus 330.
I'm shocked that this is this wide of a line because Pineda is old and he gasses out. And that is the only bad thing I can say about Daniel Pineda. Like, he's legitimately decent everywhere. His I don't want to say he's like this super cleanest, slickest boxer there is, but he's
down to throw.
He's down to throw, and he actually has really good head movement. He has a beautiful low kick. And then as people try to time it and fire back, he's slipping and rolling and moving out. I love it. He has great wrestling. He has good jiu-jitsu. Honestly, he just has bad cardio. And even we saw it in the Caceres fight where he even pushed through it quite a bit and like forced it through. Cub fight, you know, Cub just landed right down the middle. The thing is like, I mean, Nathaniel Wood is really good everywhere, but he is small. He's so small, and Pineda is massive for the division, and Wood is tiny for the division. We saw that with Naimov. I mean, just look how little he looked, and Naimov was just able to big brother him. And like
a few times, I still think he won that fight. My opinion.
I went back and looked at it, and I don't. I think the only way.
Oh no, he didn't win the fight. He should have got a point, and it should have been a draw.
That's the closest thing that you could offer for that. He lost the fight, and then honestly, though. Like, for 2 nut shots, is that always a point deduction? Like, people don't always.
But it was grabbing the gloves, and he was doing a lot of cage grabs.
There was a lot of stuff in there that was. He was in Abu Dhabi, and Naimov got the Abu Dhabi decision. He got the neckbeard decision, and he was right religion in the right place at the right time. But like, man, Nathaniel Wood lost that fight, and then you're going, and even Naimov kind of gassed on in quite a bit, but then was able to just like bully him and just get him to the ground and hold him there. That's my worry about this fight is like, look, Pineda is going to gas out. He absolutely is going to. But can Wood put him out before he does? I'm going with Wood here on nothing more than they're in England. He's fast. He has the youth.
He is really good.
He's so good. But we've seen him get thrown to the ground by these guys at 145, and when we've seen him get hurt by everyone at 145.
You could just say he got hurt by everyone. He gets hurt by everyone.
Like, he does get hurt. He's got great trip takedowns and stuff, but man, and even his jiu-jitsu is good, but if he gets put on his back against Pineda, I don't know that he's getting back up in anything under a minute. I mean, like, the clock can go. Pineda's good at jiu-jitsu. Even if you put Pineda on his back, he is going leg lace, heel hook sweeping people, coming back up, throwing triangles. He's got a great overhand. He's got calf kicks for days. If he wasn't 38 with shitty cardio, I'd say give me Pineda all day long. The only thing that I'm assuming is that the travel, the flight, the aura of England is that he's going to fade enough for Wood to win round 2 and 3. And I mean, Wood could put him away as well if that chin goes because he is fast. But man, Pineda could put Wood out as well. It makes sense that the favorite in the hometown wins, like, but on a betting standpoint, can you bet Wood at minus 425 against a really tough opponent? Yeah. So then you just go like, is there a spread you're looking at, or then do you just go dog or pass? So on a betting line, I would say dog or pass.
Fight doesn't go or under 2.5, honestly.
Man, I could see the fight going. I could see Pineda getting his way to the end, just like we saw with Caceres. And honestly,
but I think Wood's going to press that a lot more than Caceres would. Caceres is a good striker, but he's so like flow all over the place.
Long and
at least Wood, when he wants to step in the pocket, he's going to throw on you and he's going to put combos together and try to finish you.
Yeah. No, I bet you if these guys were in the gym sparring, I bet you Pineda would just maul Wood all of the time. But then, it being a fight, the adrenaline, the crowd, all of that stuff. So again, like logic says you got to go with Wood to win this here. I don't know how. He's going to will it and aura it in his hometown. But man, Pineda is good and tough, and this scares me from a betting standpoint.
Well, girls don't really like when we say aura, I found out.
Oh, really? Why not?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're just scared of the aura. They're scared of what, consumes them.
Okay.
I agree with you. Not much more to add to that. I think Wood is a liability, but he also is very, very talented. I think he wins the fight. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and you don't even know how. You just assume he's going to figure something out to win. Like there's not a lot of logic behind it. I watched a ton of tape on this.
I mean, he's a better fighter. I think he is a better fighter. He's just smaller. I don't know.
I don't know that he's the better fighter. I think he's just younger with better cardio.
That makes him better to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
but on a technical standpoint, I think Pineda is really freaking technical. And then the other thing too is a lot of Pineda's losses are early in his career, but he has 15 losses on his record. And
he's a coach and he's running a whole gym. And there's just so many things that are like, okay, Pineda probably needs some cash, whatever it is. But I like Pineda too. He's dangerous for sure.
So, all right, next up, what do we got?
Next, we have Arnold Allen at -250 versus Giga Chikadze at +205.
Like we just talked about with Caceres. Caceres a lot of vibes, and he is good.
You know him.
Yeah, you know the vibes. He's lunge in, lunge out, kind of random punches, random kicks. And that fight was decently close with him and Giga. And that was a good southpaw look, right? And that was the most recent version of Giga that we have. Now we have Giga off torn groin. We have Giga off a year layoff. He's 35, going to England against a guy in Arnold Allen who is by far a better boxer than Caceres, and a lot more power, lot big, heavy power, and can grapple too.
And the weirdest hunchback body I've ever seen.
Yeah.
His head is somehow positioned in the middle of his chest.
Strange looking guy. I like Arnold Allen here. And I get the thoughts of Giga. Giga is really good. I've been a huge fan of Giga forever and ever and ever. But I think he's old, and I think he's going to get that distance smashed. I think Arnold Allen does a really good job of kind of that in and out style, but mixes it with big, heavy shots too, which is kind of a rare combination, right? A lot of people who act kind of timid with the footwork don't really throw hard, and he'll do that, but then he swings on you. Honestly, kind of like the Nathaniel Wood fight. Like technically, Giga's probably better. He is better technically, but youth, cardio, size advantage. I think that everything lines up for Arnold Allen here.
Arnold Allen is a southpaw, and that immediately is going to change some things for Giga, who doesn't have that left middle kick to place the same way that
call it what it's called.
The Giga kick. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I know what I did. I'll correct it.
It's not a liver shot. It's not a middle kick.
It's a Giga kick.
It's the Giga kick.
So there's that. Now Giga his kicks are awesome, but his hands are good too. He has really, really good, straight, long, fast, dynamic punches. I love them. Those are solid.
Why don't you write him a letter?
Like Santa Claus?
Say, hey, Giga.
Hey, so look, I love it. Watching the way that Calvin Kattar just pressed him, and it took the life out of him. He was so tired after round one by just being pressed. He cannot handle that type of pressure. When people don't agree to the terms and stay on the outside with him, it really messes with him, and it messes with his ability. What?
Well, I'm just thinking back to a fight because this goes way back, right? And this kind of screwed me up. So like when watching Glory kickboxing, back when he used to be in Glory, and I loved when he was in Glory. He was so sick. And he fought a guy, Anvar Bosnarian, whatever. So that guy went on Contender Series, right? And this was the fight that Dana was so pissed about. He fought Eric Silva and just got steamrolled, right? And Dana was like, what the fuck? This guy is like a 35er and he fought up at 45. This fight never should have been made. It was like the one that he was pissed the fuck off about. And then we saw Anvar go on to like fight a bunch of other fights and just look horrible. Like he's always looked horrible. Anvar beat Giga in Glory, in kickboxing. And the way that he did it, he's not amazing. Like he really is not that good. of a technical kickboxer. And who the fuck am I to say anything? But all he did, and exactly what you're saying, is he just pressed him and just didn't stop pressing him. And when Giga would throw at him, he would just throw back and throw back and throw back and throw back. And then you could tell the pressure kind of got to Giga. And not that he slowed down like crazy or anything. He just was uncomfortable. And he's getting pressed, and that movement stopped. And he just kind of was like, shit, all right, here's where we are. And the guy won on just sheer, like, I'm going to stay here.
Yeah, there's a claustrophobic feeling when people won't agree to stay the fuck away from you and fight you on the outside in the way that you expect them to fight you. And with Arnold Allen, when have we seen Max Holloway on his back foot pressed up against the fence? And Arnold Allen did it right away. And again, Max adjusted and won the fight. Of course, he beat him up. But my point is that Arnold Allen is an in-your-face, press you, push you against the cage, let's go type of guy. I think he's smart enough to realize, hey, the way you beat Giga is doing that as well. I love Giga almost as much as I love Brzeski, but I like Arnold Allen here.
Well, what's funny is you just look at, like, he fought Jamal Emmers to a really close fight. And this was Giga as a much younger Giga, a more put together Giga, not so hurt Giga. And Arnold Allen's southpaw, like you said, that changes that dynamic. And Arnold Allen's going to zip in, zip out, and he's going to press constantly instead of fighting on the outside. Like, having a close striking fight with Emmers with the credentials that Giga has isn't like a great look.
Yeah.
All right, next we have Muhammad Mokaev minus 142 versus Manel Cape at plus 120.
I love Manel Cape. Man, he is so good. What Manel Cape does really well. So of course his striking, he has the flying knees, right? Like he's always flying knees, skip knees, timing, everything is good. What he does really well, it's actually one of the things I had the team go over today with wrestlers. We were doing a drill where we're striking in the pocket with a little MMA gloves on, and one person is shooting whenever they want, the other person's kind of defending. One thing I noticed is that everybody, when people were shooting, is everybody was defending via wrestling, and nobody was punching to defend their way out of the wrestling. And one thing that Cape does really well is he punches while he's wrestling, and it's really nice, and it's a really hard thing to do because you think, oh, I have to grab right now because he's grabbing me, instead of like, let me just punch while I'm kind of whizzing and turning out at the same time. And Manel Cape does that really well. He also, I mean, his striking is great. He's hard to finish. I mean, you have Pantoja on your back and you're not getting submitted by Pantoja. Hats off to you. I love Manel Cape. But you have David Dvorak, who's on death's door, getting on top of you. And you have Manel Cape, for as good as he is, he ends up on his back. He ends up being taken down. And then you have Muhammad Mokaev, who, like, go rewatch his fights. His striking some days looks pretty good and other days looks very timid and not put together. But he is fast and he's good and he's fine. But his wrestling is really solid. And you see him with Alex Perez, who's a very credentialed wrestler. And he was able to find... Not only was he able to get Alex down a good amount and take his back and out and win in a lot of the grappling exchanges, is he did not have success early, and he adjusted and figured it out. One thing Mokaev did is one of the nicest freaking things I've seen in a long time. He was on a double leg on the fence, and Alex was just stuffing a shot. So he switches to a single, and he's not getting anywhere, and they're standing. And then he actually drops to a knee, which he's on Mokaev's left leg, so he's got his left leg, and he's standing. He drops to his left knee, kind of pulls Mokaev off the fence, and just pulls that leg down. And in doing so, it kind of drops his hip, and then Mokaev turns the corner into a double on top. It was one of the nicest takedowns that I've seen in a long time. Just on something, I say it all the time. I think one of the hardest things in MMA is you're shooting a double, and they stop the shot, and now you're just stuck there. And for his ability to create movement and to create momentum and to scramble and turn the corner and come back on top against somebody who's as credentialed as Perez in the wrestling department was really impressive. He got him down again and again and again. I think Mokaev is not going to stand with Manel Cape at all.
He can't.
But what he will do is he's fast. He's going to touch him and move, and Manel is going to enter. And when he does, he's going to create these grappling exchanges. And I think he knows that he can't strike with him. And I think as long as he doesn't get flying, I went back and forth on this quite a bit because Mokaev does get tired. He does.
And I'm glad you went back and forth on this one a lot, because you should have, because it's like a guy who literally has every tool and all the potential in the world. Like probably the most talented. Would you say Kop's the most talented
One
guy?
of them, yes.
By far. But stylistically.
Well, and here's why I went back and forth on it a lot, because Manel Cape does a lot of stuff well. I think he has better cardio than Mokaev, considering all things. And at first I was like, man, I think I like Manel Cape round 2, round 3 knockout by Mokaev shooting bad shots, tired, and Manel Cape coming up with those knees that he likes. And then the more I'm watching it again and again and again, I'm seeing Cape like end up on his back in these random positions. And let's look at strength of schedule, because I think people hold Manel Cape really highly, right? I mean,
As they should. He's very good.
They do. But let's take a look at his UFC record, okay? He lost his first 2 UFC fights, all right? One of them was to Pantoja. One of them was to Nicolau. No harm in that at all.
Both great guys. And he should have won that Nicolau fight.
Yes. Then he beat Odie Osborne. He beat Zalgas, who can't find a win. The dude will win like 100% of a fight and somehow get 0-3 on all 3 judges' scorecards.
In fairness, that's a big wrestling press too, Zalgas.
Yeah, but sometimes he wrestles, sometimes he doesn't, whatever. But so there's that. Then he beat David Dvorak, who literally just ran for 15 minutes, but still got some takedowns. And then he beat Felipe Dos Santos, you know, again, who's...
Good win.
These guys are fine. They're fine. And then you look at Mokaev's wins, and he's 4-0 in the UFC as well.
Tim Elliott.
Cody Durden, Charles Johnson, Johnson is good. Like and he just piggybacked Johnson the whole time. Malcolm Gordon, and he looked very like human in that fight quite a bit. Then he beat Filo by submitting him, and he submitted Tim Elliott, and he submitted Alex Perez. So, 6-0 in the UFC, sorry. So, I mean, like, he's got the better wins. He's got the better strength of schedule, I think.
It's really weird you say that, but that's actually the truth.
It's the truth.
Like, if you would have asked me and I didn't look at the records, I'd be like, oh, Cop by far.
You'd say that Cop has fought the better people. You'd say he's ranked higher. You'd say he's the A side here. And then you look at the records and you're like, whoa, Mokaev has had such better performances.
Honestly, Tim Elliott, like, I know Tim Elliott's old and he's crazy and kind of a weird guy, but like, man, that would be kind of a hard fight for Cop too, I think.
Yeah. And so I got to go with the other things. So there's a few things. Youth, of course, like there's that. There's the wrestling side. There's that. Being in his home country, flying, all of that. So that's a thing. And Cop has missed weight a couple times, and it's hard for him. But
lack of game planning.
But the other thing, too, is Mokaev just knows how to win. And I think Mokaev is going to get it done because he just knows how to win.
I can't wait for Mokaev to fight Kai Kara France.
Yes, that's an interesting one.
Well, he's going to beat the piss out of him. Yeah. Kai will beat the piss out of Mokaev, but that's because he can defend takedowns and just be calm and game and have good hands. Yep. But I think, man, I wish that Mokaev was an underdog. Like, it's hard for me to fathom that, like, in this fight matchup and based on recent optics and all that stuff that Mokaev's the favorite here, right? I was thinking, like, okay, after the Alex Perez one, yep. Like, you know, Cops look amazing and his hands are so good and the dude is so talented and dynamic. And every time you let DC near a mic, Cormier he just goes crazy on Cop.
I tell you,
man, one time he came into AKA and man, he was just sparring everybody and looking so good, right?
He threw me for 17 times.
Yeah. And I believe it, man. Cop's good. Cop's really good. And he's huge. He's massive. He just ends up on his back. And even with Dvorak, I am not high on Dvorak. I think Dvorak has forever been one of the most overrated guys. He's slow. He's not technical. He's got bad holes everywhere. And he got him down. And then Cop didn't really have a ton of urgency to get back up. He got back up with a Kimura. And Mokai has a lot of things, but he's a good grappler. Like, even jiu-jitsu wise, he's a good grappler. And I've said this since Mokaev came to the UFC. He's got bad cardio, but he's got bad cardio against guys that are willing, like, trying to get up, going to make him work. What if Cop just sits on the bottom and just goes for triangles and arm bars all day? You know, I think Mokaev knows that this fight is a massive one for him. The next fight will be probably a number one contenders fight, and then he's going to fight for a UFC title.
Him and our guy Amir Albazi, I guess, have a lot of beef with each other and are always going back and forth.
Who?
Mokaev.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess they don't like each other a lot. Mokaev's always
Battle of
talking
the
shit
UK,
to Amir, yeah.
I wonder if Amir and Cop have beef.
I don't know.
Because they used to train at Extreme together. Yeah, interesting. That gym's an insane one. I'm going to go Mokaev here. I think that he's going to end up getting Cop down. And if he gets Cop down, that could be the round. Now, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. I think Cop's one of those guys that just is that good. I know, like, if he really wanted to, he can probably defend every takedown and stand up at will and do anything that he wants to. But I think his ego is probably going to get to him. And that's the thing is, I don't like that Cop fight's emotional. I think he's going to go in there and try to take Mokaev's head off. And when he doesn't and ends up on his back, then he's going to get up and try to swing twice as hard. And when he swings twice as hard, he's going to end up on his back again and again.
So that said, yes, I like Mokaev here for the win. But man, watch this live. And if there's some fading going on, look out for a round 3 knee for Cop to go up the middle.
Or even just he'll put his hands together. Like that dude, man. I'm going to go Mokaev, but like not with a ton of faith.
All right, let's move.
All right, next we have, man, we got to talk to the UFC and our boys over at Fight Shock to get this updated. It's not Bobby Green anymore. It's King Green.
Oh.
It's King Green. He's had it legally changed. Anyways,
the UFC, Fight Shock, the books, you guys can all go to hell. Put some respect on my boy's name.
It's King Green -118 versus Paddy Pimblett -102.
All right, so we have 3 Brits on the card. We have Sam Patterson. We've got Tom Aspinall, and we have Paddy Pimblett, all who have the same alien boxing coach who's like, hey, I got an idea. When you throw that punch, look up. Do it. I don't think he'll do it. Paddy's like, hold my beer. Watch this.
We just got to show him how good of a chin we have and how hard we can hit at the same time.
Dude, Paddy's chin in the air is something like, what the fuck is going on over here, people? Like, I wanted to right off the bat go, Paddy's going to just youth this guy, grab him and throw his ass down.
That's really what you thought first take on this?
No, I mean, it was like, all right, no. So it was like, of course, Bobby Green wins this. I'm like, and then I'm like, wait, let me kind of think this through.
And the only reason I say that is because Paddy's had such a bad reputation since he got to the UFC because the Tony fight, he gassed so badly, and Jared Gordon fight.
Yes, of course I was like, all right, Bobby Green. But then you start thinking about it and you're like, all right, he's young. He can throw people down and the boy can grapple. You know what I mean? Like he really can. And so I'm like, all right, can he do this and that? And then I'm watching him again, man. And that chin is in the air. He doesn't know how to close distance. He rushes in. Look, when he does shoot and he's on the back, he really is good. He's really good at taking the back and choking people out. And Bobby is a little bit more brittle now. Like he's been dropped a little. Ferguson put him down. Like
Miller hurt him pretty bad.
Miller hurt him. Like it's Turner. Don't talk about Turner. We don't need to bring that.
Yeah, we got to bring up bullshit. And you said it off the mic, so nobody knows what the hell you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, like, dude, like, just stop,
dude,
stop. Turner. Bobby Green, we all love Bobby Green. We've been talking about him forever. Everyone knows Bobby Green. He's such a hard style of fighter to fight. If Paddy can put him on his back and maybe get a submission early, great. If this thing goes by round 1, I don't see Paddy death gassing with the chin in the air. And like, I mean, honestly, I think Paddy's best option here to win this fight is to go out there and tuck his chin. Like that means the opposite of up, that's down, and fucking swing for the fences and try to just catch an old alien Bobby Green and try to just bully him and bum rush him and go. The second he tries to get into any form of technical battle with Bobby, his speed is going to be too hard to handle. Man, I generally favor youth and dynamic and people who are good at a specialist thing and jumping on the back. But man, I don't know how he beats Bobby Green.
I am with you for the most part. I think this is going to be, unfortunately, I think this is how it goes. I think Bobby's definitely a more complete fighter. Like Bobby's hard to take down. Yeah. He's hard to keep down. And once he settles into the fight, like he fights his fight and it's all him. You know, the Jim Miller fight, like I thought Jim was going to crack him or take him down and make him work. That was one of the most brutal beatings I've ever seen. Like that was bad. And Paddy doesn't fight through that tiredness as well as Jim Miller has been as of late. Like Jim Miller has that veteran savvy and he made it to the final bell. Do we think that when Paddy's death gassing against Tony Ferguson, that Bobby Green can't put him out, you know?
And have we ever seen Bobby tired?
No, not really. Like he gets stronger as the fight
so
goes.
loose that I don't think he could get tired.
I honestly, this is kind of how I think the fight's going to go. I think like based on Paddy striking in the Ferguson fight, like honestly, his offense has looked better. Like he swings with a purpose now.
Yes, it's just that chin is so far in the air and he's looking away.
I get it, but
so creepy.
He's been on a couple steroid cycles now. He hits like a fucking gorilla. Like he legitimately does, and he didn't used to. Like back in the Cage Warriors days, zero power, and everything would be predicated on how do I grapple this guy and get to his back. Now he hits like a man now. Man, I can't help but feel that Paddy for the first round will be so fast and hit so hard and be so dynamic. He's probably going to knock Bobby out in the first round. But like you said, after that one round goes by, like how does Paddy beat him? Like he's not faster. He's not higher volume. You know, the grappling, I think Bobby will be way fresher. Like, yeah, I'm with you. Like, I wish I could not have an opinion on this fight.
I know, because I could 100% just see the youth of physicality bum rush Bobby Green and just swinging, hurt him, drop him, jump on him, choke him or something. But then if that doesn't happen in 3 minutes, then you're like, all right, this is Bobby Green the rest of the way.
My brain says Bobby Green. My gut feeling is Paddy. And so I'm going to go with the gut feeling that Paddy's going to knock out Bobby Green. But I hate that. I hate betting on the worst fighter.
Yeah.
So in hopes get the knockout. But Jim Miller is, you know, how is he, 42, something like that. And he almost put Bobby Green out. Now you get the young, hungry, steroided up Paddy Pimblett. Like, man, Paddy's day will come. And I'm just like, man, he's going to keep finding these angles and weaseling out of it. So I'm going Paddy, but not happy about it.
Okay.
All right. In the co-main, we have Tom Aspinall, minus 375 versus Curtis Blades, plus 295.
Again, another tough one. I bet Aspinall pretty big in the first matchup, and that was what a pick 'em. It was like minus 110 each side. Minus 375. I just have no interest in it. Aspinall is good. I mean, I legitimately think Aspinall is 100% the goods. But if Blades doesn't die in one round, like all the other guys have, and you know, so much has been made about Aspinall's cardio for years, which never made any sense to me because he's never necessarily shown to have bad cardio. Like there's been no evidence to suggest it, but people just have this narrative like, man, his cardio is awful. Could I see it being bad? Yeah, possibly. Right. And we know Blades is a good cardio guy and he'll go forever and he can wrestle his ass off. I have no interest in playing the money line here. Even if you think Aspinall is going to win, I don't know how he wins. He's a good submission guy. He's a good black belt. He can offensively wrestle. He could knock out Curtis Blades. He could do so much. He could, you know, there's too many avenues for him to win. And I'm not even sure that he does win, right? I think Blades could take him down and dominate him and tire him out and land big stuff on the top. You know, striking, I don't think it's necessarily super close, but geez, I'm going to go Blades on this one. I'm going to go Blades on this one.
I'm going to go Aspinall because I think you said we don't have any issues on cardio. We haven't really seen anything. And we know that he can offensively wrestle. We've never really seen him defensively wrestle.
But can he offensively wrestle Curtis Blades?
I don't think he needs to. I don't think that's relevant. I think knowing that he can offensively wrestle in jiu-jitsu as much as we know he can, I would assume that he has some defensive wrestling and some stand-up and defensive jiu-jitsu. That's my assumption there.
You don't just get that good without working the other side too.
Exactly. And so the thing that what actually worries me is that Tom Aspinall's fucking chin is in the air like the rest of these goddamn Brits. Like, what the shit is going on here? And so that's what worries me. And not right off the bat, but first of all, Blades landed some good shots on Pavlovich before. The issue there was Blades was like, hey, I'm going to strike for a while and then I'm going to shoot. And Gregory Gillespie did that too. He was like, I'm going to strike with Kevin Lee and I have some success and I will shoot when I'm ready. And then he found more success and then he died. And that's
great analogy, honestly.
right? Like these guys find some success and then think, okay, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And then
maybe you used to tell me that about Josh Koscheck. Like Koscheck such a good wrestler, and then he would want to strike with everyone and got knocked out.
And he forgot. Yeah, exactly. And so with Blades, I think Aspinall is going to get hit a few times early because he's going to be so focused on the takedown that'll open up. And then I think later on, if you're going to go Blades, I think what worries me is that Aspinall is worried about the wrestling, and then he comes up swinging, and so it kind of goes back and forth. I think Aspinall will find a way to win because I think Blades just he waits too long. I think he waits too long, and that chin legitimately is a liability. We've seen it so many times where, I mean, it's Andrei Arlovski, like we said. Like, if you told me that Blades was going to go out there and just throw a jab and just wrestle, give me Blades all day. But Blades going out there and like trying to find it and trying to not show his cards too early on how you're going to wrestle. We know you're going to wrestle. Stop trying to pretend like you're not going to wrestle and just fucking
make
wrestle.
It dirty. Get in there.
Just do it right off the bat. If he does that right off the bat, great. The other thing too, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was Aspinall in London. If you watch Aspinall's other fights, he moves and he slips. And I also hate how Pineda slips and rolls with his chin down and his shoulders out. Aspinall does it tipping backwards, where Blades, if he's running, he's just going to hit him on the chin or blast double him, tip him over. But it drives me nuts. But Aspinall's fight with Blades the first time, he went out there like he was mad and had something to prove in London. And he looked bad, and he broke his own damn ACL by just going full asshat. I think we're going to see a much calmer Aspinall right now. I think we're going to see a better Aspinall. I think we're going to see a less beat up Aspinall than Blades, who has, it's the aura. It's the aura. It's the A-side. It's the fast guy.
He's had it for his whole career.
Yeah, who's doing all of the right stuff. His only blemish is a freak accident while spamming kicks and falling. Like, so I got to go with the guy who we just haven't seen any really downside except for the fucking British chin in the air.
Well, I'm going to switch my pick. I think Aspinall is going to win, but I'm going to stick to it that the line is too wide, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we got a main event. But before we get to our main event, you guys go to the Patreon. Join us on Discord. It's $25 a month. That's $6 a week to join a Discord, get picks on a bunch of fights. There's threads on every MMA fight there is. There's NASCAR. There's football. There's the Bird's Nest, Brandon's bets. There's everything that you could ever imagine on a Discord and on a Patreon.
And we're going to bounce back. We're going to get better. Been a little tough. Back. No lie.
Last week was bad. But all in all, there's been a lot of money and a lot of fun. And we probably make fun of all of you on there too. So come join us. And then now you're not being made fun of. You're the one making fun of others. And everyone wants to be on the A-side group making fun of people. Instead, no, who wants to be the minority group, right? We all want to be the people not on the minority being made fun of.
I just want to sleep with the minorities.
Yes.
Oh.
So don't be on the B side, be the A side. And the A side's the Patreon.
Fightchalk.com. Check it out. Patreon/MMA breakdowns and bets. And check out my OnlyFans.
Yeah. Which is really, really, really disturbing.
It's
and
great.
Awesome in a whoo, you will not forget it.
Who's going to match my freak?
All right, we got a main event.
Dude, I'm sweating like crazy.
It's down to 73.
Oh, my God.
All right. We got the champ. Leon Edwards, minus 245 versus Belal Muhammad at plus 200.
I always think Belal sucks, and I always pick against him. And that son of gun always proves me wrong. But now he's fighting Leon.
And?
I mean, Leon's takedown defense and wrist control on the cage are so amazing. So amazing. So now you've got, you have Uber Leon there right now. This is the best.
I thought you were going to go somewhere completely different with that. I thought you were going to get real racist and say Belal is driving Uber because of his ethnicity. Whoa.
Well, nope. I was just saying we have Uber Leon.
he has kind of that craziness since he became the champion.
Dude, there is something about, there's something. All right, so here's, Leon kind of almost seemed like that was his trajectory and it was destined, and he did it, and you couldn't deny him, and he beat the champ, and then he beat him up even worse, and he beat Colby, and he's looking amazing. And his takedowns, his offensive wrestling has improved over the years. His defensive wrestling is phenomenal. It's all about the wrist control, lead hand wrist control. He goes backside wrist control. I love it. I love it.
That's a cheeky one. No one does that.
They don't do the backside. So, and then Belal, he kind of reminds me of Colby, where it seems forced. Like he's having to beg for these title shots. First of all, he's super mad about the Leon thing, but he was only brought in last minute. I forget who Leon was supposed to fight, but that was a last minute replacement. And then the eye poke. Like, Belal, you weren't even supposed to be there. And then now you're complaining about the eye poke stuff, where it's like you weren't there. That wasn't, you didn't earn it. And Belal has earned, he has earned the title shot. He's beaten all of the guys, but it almost seems desperate. And that if Leon was destined to win the title, it almost seems like Belal is almost like Kobe.
Destined not
He's
to?
destined to lose it and not get it. Like Kobe, I think, is one of those guys that was always trying to get that title shot and just hope that he made it. And you're so freaking close so many times, but you're never going to be the champ. And I feel like that's Belal. I think Belal is so good. I think he's so improved. I think his even his striking isn't great technical striking, but it's effective. He's gotten better at, man, he did it really well against Luque, just moving laterally on that fence, switching stances, throwing the kicks, and then timing the takedowns. But now you have Leon in front of you, who's an infinitely better wrestler than Luque and these other guys. I think Leon is going to, I don't even know if he's going to finish Belal. Maybe he does, but I think it's going to be a very, very clean one-sided fight by Leon.
I tend to agree with you. I just worry late a little bit. I worry a little bit late. Like Belal is a really good game planner. He really is. Like he is a smart guy. People hate on Belal.
He's a massive head.
Yeah.
It's huge. His face, I don't even know if it's his head, but his face is like this big, and then his head is.
I got to shout out Magic MMA on Twitter. He's hilarious. When he goes in on Belal, he just talks about the steroid use and how fucking massive his head has gotten just due to the steroids. And it's hilarious every time he talks about it. And honestly, I used to ask C-Rod about it. I was like, what's up with Belal? You gained a lot of weight in the last few years. What's up with Belal? And he goes, dude. And he's very, C-Rod, very quiet.
Very quiet.
Dude, I've never seen someone work harder than Belal. That's it. That's all he said. I've never seen someone work harder than Belal. Belal's good. I like Belal. He's a good game planner. He's a really good fighter. And, he's almost like the Mick Parkin of 170.
Get out of my house.
He's the Mick Parkin of 170.
Go, get off my property.
Doesn't make mistakes.
Put the mic back. You can take the little foam thing because I don't need those germs.
He's the Mick Parkin of 170. He's Anderson Silva of 170.
Just
hey, Anderson
I'm
Silva
plugging my ears. La 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 la. I can't hear this.
Anderson Silva did the damn thing last week.
I can't hear this.
Yeah, I just think he's outgunned here. Like you said, the takedown defense is huge. I really wish we would have seen that Parkin Tavares fight last week, because like we said, when the takedowns aren't working anymore and you have someone that has such good takedown defense, and now this is a kickboxing match. Now, how does this play out? How would you line this fight? And honestly, it's not like Belal can't take down Leon. I think he definitely could. I think his wrestling's better than Colby. People went crazy for Colby's wrestling.
Colby's college wrestling is great. His cage wrestling
leaves some to be desired.
Yes. Once people stop the initial shot, he doesn't reshoot well, whereas Belal does. Belal cage wrestles a lot better than Colby does.
Much better. And that's what I'm saying. I get what you were saying, okay, the college wrestling, but Colby was kind of from the old guard. And now, MMA has just gone so far, and Belal has evolved with it. Belal didn't used to be this kind of fighter. Now he's a really good fighter, makes really good decisions. He outperforms his skill set time and time and time again. I only worry for Leon late. I think if Belal takes a beating and starts setting him up and starts cutting off the cage and starts putting pressure, things might get a little hairy late, but yeah, I think Leon's going to win this.
Here's the issue with Belal. He's got the Sean Brady standing TKO.
Come on.
Which
No, come on. We don't even need to talk about it.
Gilbert Burns decision. Luque decision. Stephen Thompson decision. Damian Maia decision. Diego Lima decision. Lyman Good decision. I mean, you got to go back a ways. And so you give somebody like Leon 1,000 chances to punch you, and he's going to.
And he hurt him bad in that first fight.
And so I don't see it, man. I see Leon picking him apart and doing that damn thing, as they say.
Well, that's a show. We still haven't come up with a tagline to end this. I think it has to be something involving Kyle Bochniak somehow, some way.
The greatest.
Bochniak out.
The greatest.